Well, good Saturday morning, everybody, and welcome back to Tyne Valley, Prince Edward Island. You're watching the 2026 Maritime Under-16 AAA Hockey Championships here on High Button Sports, and one of three massively crucial matchups on the docket here on this Saturday, day 4 of 5 here in the Maritime Championships, beginning with the Cabot Highlanders and the St. John Vitos, both very much still in contention for a gold medal game berth tomorrow afternoon here in PEI. My name is Luke Diamond. Thank you for joining us here for this first game of Saturday action. Well, if you're the Cabot Highlanders, this game is a win and you're in scenario. A regulation win will clinch them at least a top 2 seed here in the tournament standings, which will be enough to punch their ticket to tomorrow's game. Now, if they have to go to overtime or a shootout to do that, it gets a bit more complicated in the standings. Remember, it's a 3-2-1-0 point system, meaning 3 points for a regulation win, 2 points for overtime or a shootout win, and 1 point for the overtime or a shootout loss. And we've seen one overtime game so far this tournament involving the other team on the ice, the St. John Vitos. The only team yet to play a third game in the tournament. This is game number 3 for them. The other teams have all played 3. This will be Cabot's 4th of 4 round-robin games as they now take the ice. The Vitos are to the bench, but the Vitos still with a very real shot to finish first in the standings here at the Maritime Championships. They're the only team yet to lose in regulation in this tournament. And if they went out today, they got a busy Saturday ahead of them, not only with the Cabot Highlanders right now, but the host Western Rebels playing at 3, a Rebels team which has won 2 in a row here in front of the home fans. So the St. John Vitos looking to put a big foot forward and leave it all out here during their championship Saturday for a shot at staying alive for Championship Sunday here in Tyne Valley as we throw it down to the ice here at the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center for the National Anthem.
Morning's game, afternoon's game, featuring representing Hockey Nova Scotia, the Cabot Highlanders, and representing Hockey New Brunswick, the St. John Vitos. Officials for this morning's game include referees Brandon Darren and Landon McConnell, joined by linesman Caleb Creed. At this time, would you please rise if you're able to, as well remove your hats and caps for the playing of our national anthem.
Well, these teams both control their own destinies here on this Saturday. Cabot in Game 4 of the round robin, a chance to punch their ticket back to the gold medal game for the second time in as many years. And the St. John Vitos, a big day ahead of them, but with 4 points in the standings, are themselves in good shape as we meet our starting goaltenders. Both teams going to ride the hot hand here in this Saturday morning matchup. Luca Riva in between the pipes for the Vitos, only allowing one goal in yesterday's 5-1 win over HC Kings in that game. He stopped 28 shots out of 29. And for the Cabot Highlanders, Hugh Burchill gets the start. He has stopped all 57 shots he has faced here through 2 games in the tournament. A 32-save shutout against the Dukes yesterday, and a 25-save shutout against the Kings. We're going to get an early penalty coming up against the Vitos. Burchill has gone to the bench very early on here in this one. The Cabot Highlanders in the blue uniforms to your left, and the Vitos in the cream whites to your right. The first time we've seen the alternate jerseys in the tournament for St. John, who will go to kill an early penalty here. It's Cameron Wilson off the box, an interference call. Only 31 seconds into this one, as we get an early power play for the Cabot Highlanders. Cabot only scored a minute into yesterday's game. Andrew Jones with the only goal against the Eastern Dukes, and an early shot directed toward the net off the tape of William McClellan. McClellan and Jones, the drivers of the offense here this weekend for the Highlanders, who have only scored 3 times and carry a 2-1 record into this hockey game, winning their 2 games 2-0 and 1-0. Their only loss coming 5-0 against the Western Rebels. So all 3 of the Highlanders games involving shutouts of some sort, as that is sent down the ice hard by the Vitos, as it's cleared and behind the goal. Andy Murray trying to exit that puck up and out the center for the Cabot Highlanders, and Pearson throwing a check along the wall for the Vitos. He'll head to the bench. There's Daniel Landry. Landry yet to get on the score sheet here this tournament through 3 games. The leading scorer on the team from the blue line this season, second in the league, and D scoring and best in front. Oh, it stayed out at first, but now it's in. And the Cabot Highlanders early on the power play here in the first period to open the scoring. It looked like Riva had made the save, but Lucas Havercourt puts it away amid the mad scramble at the net mouth. And maybe a similar script for the Highlanders here in this hockey game. They got an early power play yesterday against the Dukes and scored 50 seconds in, and they will score a minute and 35 into this all-important game against the St. John Vitos. And it's a 1-0 lead for the tournament wildcard team. So we're back to center ice. The Cabot Highlanders power play working wonders for them so far this tournament. Not the highest scoring team in the league, but a 21.4% clip through the regular season was the 3rd best mark in the Nova Scotia Under-16 AAA Hockey League this season, as that was sent down into the corner by Brett Boyd. We're going to get a stoppage in play, and the draw coming back out toward the Cabot Highlanders bench. Looked like perhaps an offside committed by the Cabot Highlanders. So it'll be outside the Cabot line here early in the game. So Lucas Havercourt getting the scoring going here early in this one. Only the 3rd different goal scorer in this tournament so far for Cabot. Andrew Jones has 2 in the tournament, and McClellan the other one. And that'll be won back by the Highlanders. Now up the wall. Cabot will make their way out. That's in behind Havercourt, who will smack at that down into the corner. Throwing the body is Macquarie. He's dumped the ice here by Arbo of the St. John Vitos. Now in behind the goal, Tennyson go down with that outlet pass up for Carson O'Toole. O'Toole gives chase against Sawyer Nadasti and will throw the shoulder in to the chest of his contender in that puck battle. O'Toole lost a handle on it, and Boyd, the Highlanders captain, will try to clear. He fails, but Nadasti will pick that up and get it up out to the blue line. Now cross center, and Macquarie will send that in deep and in behind the net. Riva will tee that up for Godin. Now up along the wall and up with speed is Alexander Dagla. Dagla has a goal this tournament, won player of the game yesterday, and he looked for the glove side on the reverse shot on Burchill. But Hugh Burchill gets an early glove on it and a save. Still early in this hockey game, but the Cabot Highlanders, for the second straight matchup, find the back of the net early thanks to Lucas Havercourt, and a 1-0 lead for the Highlanders, the top-ranked regular season team this year in the league, sporting a 26-5-2 record, 54 points in the standings, 3 points over the second-place Eastern Dukes. The Dukes will play next against HC Kings as Burchill will absorb that shot from the perimeter. We'll get another face-off coming up here to his left. Meanwhile, the St. John Vitos, 5th in the league standings this year, 21-8-4 on the season. The Cabot Highlanders won the season series 2-1. Every team in the league playing each other 3 times over the course of the season. And is picked up by Rolly McCaddy coming into the zone. My colleague Mark Rooney calling the game yesterday between the Highlanders and the Eastern Dukes. I got to agree with you, Mark. Rolly McCaddy, one of my favorite names in the league as well. That is so much fun to say. McCaddy, one of the returning players here this year from the Cabot Highlanders. Coming back for a little bit of revenge after losing in the Maritime final last year against Western Rebels 6-3 in the Highlanders home rink as well in Port Hawkesbury. This time we're in the Rebels home rink, and a rematch of last year, depending on what happens today, is still completely possible, especially if Cabot can hang on here for the rest of the game. We're still very early on, but we've seen them win games like this in the tournament twice already. But the Vitos don't back down from finding the back of the net, as they'll get a shot in on Burchill. He was screened by that one. That's deflected up and over the goal. I was talking to a Highlanders player earlier today who was on that team last year, and he knows exactly what the deal is after losing on home ice last year with the chance to return the favor. But definitely some business to take care of first here for Cabot against a St. John Vitos team that just never tends to go away in these games. And they down on the ice right now, you can see 2 reasons why that is the case. And their names are Kason Cooling and Trip Livingston. 2 top scorers in the league this year, both cracking the 60-point mark, tied for the league lead in scoring and the scoring title. Both of them sharing it, as Cooling and Livingston will exchange passes. Livingston with 39 goals, by far the highest scoring player league-wide. The St. John Vitos captain, a very impressive season for his team. Livingston is hit along the boards here. He'll get some love from his bench as the Vitos will start out in their own zone. 4.5 minutes into the game, Cabot up by 1. Cooling, the intended recipient of that pass through the air, was knocked down by a Highlander. Now Cabot will get it in tight. That was Spencer Poirier trying to squeeze that past Riva from the angle. Andrew Jones will hustle in now. Jones going into the puck battle there with Cade Tenard. And up through the middle of the ice, Wilson will chip that in. Wilson giving chase against Boyle. He will bounce that over to Daniel Landry. Landry, the diagonal, passing up with numbers. Are the Highlanders stopping up? McClellan, and a big save from Riva, who holds down his net well. On the counterattack attempt here now for the Vitos. Livingston going in one-on-one. Lets it go through the legs of the defenseman Boyd. That's turned aside easily by Burchill as that rolled along the ice. Boyd pursued in behind the net by Livingston. Up the wall, Nadasti looking to clear that. We'll find Sam Murray. He's tied up by Arbo. Now down into the corner once more as the Vitos will change up their forwards. Up through the middle of the ice, Murray in contention there with Arbo, but will poke it around. William McClellan walks into the slot and tied up there on a back check impressively by Talon Pearson, who tied up McClellan and into the glove on that shot from in behind the net, as Luca Riva will bring a stop to play with 14:16 to go here in the first period. Now coming up later today, HC Kings and the Eastern Dukes. Kings are out of contention for the gold medal game. They have went 0-3 in their first 3 games. So they'll look to play spoiler, if anything, against a Dukes team that needs a win of some sort to stay in the running for the gold medal matchup. The Dukes are 2-1, but one of those games came in a shootout against the Vitos. And one of the more memorable games of this tournament so far, a game that The Vitos led by a 5-2 score at one point in the third. And the Dukes battled back to take it 7-6 in the shootout contest. But they only get 2 points from that rather than the full 3 for the win. And that's why the Vitos are also at 4 points. They have a regulation win after beating the Kings yesterday, as well as a loser point for the shootout loss. Now coming up with number, James Macquarie leading the way, joined by Phillips. And he's tied up there behind the play by Jacob Greeley, who got back on the back check. He's going to tie up Macquarie in behind the goal. He will fish that puck loose. That is up off the glass by Pearson and intercepted by Murray and sent back down in the corner. Riva out of his net to play it in behind. And now skating up the other way is Sutter McQuaid. McQuaid, one of 4 goal scorers yesterday in the 5-1 win over the Kings, and throws the body. A very physical presence, McQuaid. Really likes to set the tone with the body checks and the shoves or whatever it might be for the Vitos defenseman. And here comes Maxime McKinnon. Only one defenseman has scored more points this season than Daniel Landry of the Highlanders, and that's McKinnon with 30 points in 33 games, and a penalty coming up on a slash. It looked to be called as the Vitos touched up. But we'll see exactly what the call is here in a moment. And it's Maxim McKinnon going to the penalty box for a slashing minor. So for the second time in the first half of this period, the Cabot Highlanders will go to the power play. 1-0 Cabot on High Button Sports. And the face-off is won by the Highlanders. Landry walks in, centered in front off the toe of Havercourt, who scored on the last man advantage for Cabot. Havercourt fought up there along the boards by Arbo. It's going to be joined down there in the puck battle by Jones. McClellan knocked off the puck, and Havercourt has some time to operate. On the wrap try, and that will roll through the blue paint and out. And that's going to be bounced around. Landry's tied up there aggressively by Livingston. The shot from Jones from the top of the circle will flutter wide. He'll pick up his own rebound, now up to the point. Andy Murray will receive the saucer pass under reverse to Landry. Pursued there closely by Cormier, the defenseman, coming way up to challenge Landry at the point. Now Murray from distance. That's high and up off the glass. And a puck battle along the wall. Livingston getting in there again. Again, fails to clear the zone for St. John. 55 seconds gone in this Highlanders power play, and they've had the pressure in the zone the whole time. And Jones still has it for Cabot, maybe not for long. Cormier tempted to clear on the backhand, and now makes his way up to Kaysen Cooling. Cooling trailed by Livingston, and he'll slow it down. Kaysen Cooling looking for Livingston, in his feet, picks it up, and couldn't pick a spot on Hugh Burchill, who has done a fantastic job this tournament of just covering the entire net. Burchill, a really big body in between the pipes for the Highlanders, and is having a monster of a tournament thus far this week in Tyne Valley. Jacob Greeley in to take the face-off for the penalty-killing Vitos. It's going to be won back by his center ice counterpart, Sam Murray. And the Highlanders will make their way up the ice. Sawyer Nadasti entering in on the close side will rim that along the dash, and picked up by Tenard along the close side hash marks. Tenard will cycle up to the point and tried for the give-and-go return. The pass went by him, but Nadasti receives it. Over the Boyd, far side, takes a bounce. Where is it? Scores! Another one on the power play for Cabot. It's 2-0. And cleaning up the garbage in the St. John crease, James Macquarie capitalizes again on the man advantage for the Highlanders. And Cabot has struck twice in the first 9 minutes of this all-important Saturday morning round-robin game. And we've seen this formula before from the Highlanders. An early goal or two, and shut it down the rest of the way. That's how they beat the Eastern Dukes yesterday. That's how they beat the Kings on Thursday afternoon. Will that be how they take down the Vitos? Or can the Vitos come up with a response against a Highlanders team that is in their element right now to start off the first period. It's going to come in behind the St. John net. Providing pressure in behind the goal is Ryan McGinnis from the Highlanders. It's sent up the ice, and Alex Cutler carries in for St. John. Will flick that into the corner. Contention in behind the net. Banging away at it. Matthew Beaton gets it up the wall for Cabot. Looking for his winger. Is taken away by the Vitos in down low. Cutler trying to swing that back. Second attempt to Davis McQuaid. McQuaid shoved off the puck, but Cutler's there to help. And throwing a check was Merrick Storton along the wall, and he'll win back possession for Cabot. Andrew Jones sent it up the middle. So James McQuarrie with his first goal of the Maritime Championships for the Highlanders. Now giving chase into the corner was Luke Bellier jumping off the bench for St. John. It'll go up through the neutral zone a little too harshly from the side of Cabot, and they will ice the puck. 9:42 on the clock. Goals from Havercourt and McQuarrie, both coming on the power play here in the first 9 minutes of the hockey game, and the Cabot Highlanders jump out to a 2-goal lead here in the first period in Tyne Valley. Daigle in to take the ozone draw. Contends against McClellan, and McClellan wins the faceoff. Unable to clear it though, as Jake Arbo will knock it down. Arbo intended for Bellier in the corner. Trades passes with O'Toole, centered in front as Daigle was cutting in. Second attempt and a big block there. Daniel Landry. We've seen that a lot from the Highlanders defenseman. And it's centered in front for O'Toole. Well, Daniel Landry named the top defenseman of the year and at the Nova Scotia Provincials. And he finds the score sheet a lot for his team, but even though he hasn't found the back of the net yet this tournament, we're seeing why he gets the accolades, as he is not afraid to lay it out for the Cabot Highlanders. It's going to come all the way back down to the Vitos zone. Arbo loses it to Jones, and giving chase in behind the net is Havercourt. He's going to get knotted up with Arbo in behind Luca Riva's net. And Daigle will go up the ice with it. Up for Bellier to his right flank. Sent in diagonally. And a change coming up for St. John. Havercourt will get things organized for Cabot in their own zone. And Sawyer Nadasti takes up through the middle of the ice. He likes to skate it, but he gets to the far blue line. It's knocked off his stick by a back-checking Sean Ahern. St. John now in behind the goal. That's Grayson Shanks. He's dogged there behind the net by McQuarrie, and it'll skip up and out of play over the heads of the St. John Vitos players in their bench. 8:21 to go here in the first period. The Highlanders up by a pair on High Button Sports. Tie up on the face-off. It's in Vito's territory. Rolls in behind the goal. Taking a bump was Pearson. And the Highlanders will get it back. Andy Murray goes down to the corner. Cade Tenard rooting for it. That's going to hit a stick and roll over slowly to Riva, and he will opt for the face-off to his left. So St. John Vitos 1-0-1 heading into this game. Of course, that first game, we remember a 7-6 final. The Eastern Dukes winning that one, and a high-scoring slug match between two of the under-16 league's top offensive teams, and there was no mistake in that one. There was a lot of scoring. A game that the Vitos picked up a point. They went out and beat the Kings yesterday 5-1. It's the New Brunswick champions on a mission here on their Saturday with 2 games on their schedule today. And it's taken away in close range. Greeley in front of the net. And Birchill will settle things down, not giving up the rebound either, in a save for the Cabot Highlanders. Meanwhile, Cabot playing game 4 of their round robin. Opening their tournament with that win over the Kings 2-0. Later that day, they lost to the Rebels 5-0. They bounced back yesterday, putting on a defensive clinic against the Eastern Dukes in what was a 1-0 final. Andrew Jones with the only goal in that game, and it came within the first minute of that one. To be exact, 52 seconds into the matchup. And no more scoring for the remaining 59 minutes and 8 seconds as the Highlanders were able to hold off the likes of Colin McCormick and Campbell Dunn and the other prominent Eastern Dukes goal scorers off the board for the entire hockey game. So they find themselves at a 2-1 record. As mentioned, they can book their ticket to the Maritime Final for the second straight year if they can take this one in regulation over the Vitos. Meanwhile, St. John, if they win out today, they will be into the Maritime Final. But they have some work to do here so far against the Highlanders as Cabot ices the puck. 7:08 on the clock in the first. Draw coming up to the right of Burchill, and the cooling line takes the ice for the Vitos. Back to Livingston at the point, a hard one, and paddled aside by Burchill, who is ready for that rocket of a shot off the tape of Livingston. Maxim McKinnon walks into the zone, maneuvers around, scores! It takes a wicked bounce, and I believe Wilson got his tape on that to trick Burchill, and the St. John Vitos get back with one. And the way Hugh Burchill has been playing this tournament for Cabot, we knew it was going to take a less than ordinary one, or a more than ordinary shot, I should say, to beat him. And it takes a funky bounce in front of his crease as Maxim McKinnon directed that toward the net. And it fooled the goaltender and a couple other Highlanders. And the Vitos find one here on Cabot here in the first frame. I believe Maxim McKinnon, the defenseman, will get credit for that goal. It almost looked like Cameron Wilson got the stick on it. We will see here from the public address here in just a moment. So the referees and the public address will say that McKinnon will score as another scramble at the net front in front of Burchill's net. It was Davis McQuaid getting involved there, as the McQuaid line was Sam Whitaker and Alex Cutler getting to work here for the Vitos. A good follow-up shift as they keep the play down low in the Cabot zone. It's a 3-on-2 rugby scrum in behind the Highlanders net, and Cutler will come away with it. Back to the point, takes the exchange pass, looking for Sutter McQuaid, waiting in the high slot area, looking to use that one-timer. It's worked for him once so far in this tournament. Maxim McKinnon, his first goal of the Maritime Championships. Third in team scoring, 9 goals included on the year. His 30 points, as mentioned. The most of any defenseman in the league, as Daniel Landry will dump his opponent to the ice, and Sutter McQuaid taken to the ground, and Whitaker was looking for the tip in the slot area. A high-pressure shift here for the Vitos, who have had some tired Highlanders out there for a while after scoring that 2-1 goal. Now in front to Whitaker from a tight angle. Burchill hugs the post and keeps it out. 5:10 to go in the period. 2-1, still the score. McQuaid trying to direct that to the net, and Landry got down to block that. Second attempt blocked by Boyle from the perimeter, and Landry will hustle over. Remember, in this tournament, you can't ice it for the change, as walking in is Grayson Shanks, and it was blocked again by the Highlanders' Boyle from close range. James Boyle will skate up to the neutral zone with it. That is knocked down by Sutter McQuaid at center. And a hustle up here just off the ice is Sawyer Nadasti. Some fans up here in the stands pleading for a too many men on the ice call. It's not going to come. Sam Murray trying to direct that toward the net on the Vitos. But Carson O'Toole is up to the opposing blue line with it. He tries to skate around Andrew Jones and almost rolled toward Burchill's net, but doesn't quite get there. Up through the air, it's a hopping puck as Tennyson Godin desperately trying to settle that down with Sam Murray breathing down his neck from Cabot. It's going to flutter the other way to Boyd. Throws it off the wall over to Godin. Back and forth here a little bit in the neutral zone, and Murray is in on the zone entry. He's going to dodge the check from Godin. He establishes possession, though, for Cabot in the other end. Nadasti's shot blocked by the leg of Carson O'Toole, and it is out the center. He gets a lot of love from his St. John bench for that. Now Jones in the middle of the ice, the top line taking the ice for the Highlanders. McClellan, Jones, and Sam Murray. Nadasti tried to kick it out, but a clever stick of O'Toole will tap that by him. Boyd is back in relief, up through the middle, where McClellan will leave that off for Murray. McClellan bumped And Sam Murray's shot and a falling go down and Lode scores! Sam Murray capitalizes on the Vitos mistake and will restore the 2-goal lead for Cabot. Tennyson Godin took a tumble in front of his net. And the Cabot Highlanders are the type of team that thrives on capitalizing on mistakes. And an uncharacteristically high-scoring period for the team. Have found the back of the net 3 times in the first period here against the Vitos. So Sam Murray here in a game of firsts for Cabot. Finds the back of the net for his first time in the tournament. His play will continue down in the St. John zone. The Highlanders right back to work with it down low. It's around the net for Maxim McKinnon. The lone goal scorer thus far for the Vitos. Thrown down in the corner by Andy Murray. 2 Murrays on his team. Sam Murray has only appeared in 11 regular season games for the Highlanders this year, finding the back of the net 3 times. So maybe, with much of the season missed so far from the Highlanders forward, the best is still yet to come from number 72. Here in crunch time at the Maritimes, 2:53 to play in the first. The Highlanders back in front by 2 on High Button Sports. The last time these teams met was at the East Coast Ice Jam. St. John Vitos winning that game by a 3-1 score. They actually knocked the Cabot Highlanders out of contention in the round robin in that tournament. That was a tournament won by another member here in the Maritime Championships, another participant, I should say, the Eastern Dukes. They've won the Ice Jam 2 years in a row, this year defeating the Martello Buccaneers in overtime. Puck battle along the wall. It's going to be brought out by Sutter McQuaid, and Pearson picks up the pass at the red line. Snaps it in, and that's blocked to the side by Burchill. Pearson shoved up there along the wall. Andy Murray in the battle. Around in behind the net for Matthew Beaton. Sends that up for Jameis Beaton, but on the wrong side of center, so an icing call. The Cabot Highlanders tried to get a little cheeky there and change off a couple of players, but the referee was there waiting at the bench, so some tired players will have to head back out here onto the ice for this face-off. Face-off to the left to Hugh Burchill in Cabot territory. Case and cooling line with Trip Livingston and Cameron Wilson. Top line for the Vitos. Step onto the ice for the Ozone draw. It seems like there's some miscommunication from the Highlanders bench. Perhaps they did try to sneak in a rested player off the icing. That would have been Daniel Landry, but Landry has to head back to the bench. The Highlanders still won the draw as Livingston gets engaged in the battle. There was a Vito slowly rolling into the corner and slides in underneath Poirier and knocked him to the ice. As Cabot will get it up the center over the Tornado logo at center, and both gloves of Poirier on that hit go flying as well as his stick. It's a yard sale in the neutral zone. There's a big hit there from one St. John Vito. I believe that was Tennyson Godin throwing the body as Arbo keeps it in. On the reverse by Livingston, down into the corner. Wilson retrieves it, down in the battle with Cooling. Cooling gets it up to Arbo, fake the shot as Sam Murray was preparing to block that one. Wilson looking to root it down along the corner, down to Cooling. He had a little bit of room to operate, but was taken to the ice aggressively by Daniel Landry. Play will continue on as McClellan will walk into the zone. To the slot, Murray scores! Another one for Sam Murray, and it'll be 4-1 for the Highlanders. And the Cabot Highlanders offense is exploding here in the first period in Tyne Valley. They have scored 4 times to open this game and will open up a 4-1 lead over the Vitos. And Sam Murray, his second of the tournament, his second in only 3 or 4 minutes apart here late in the first period. Beating Luca Riva on the rebound with William McClellan letting that shot go. He'll pick up an assist. As the Vitos looking for an answer will take it the other way. As the Cabot Highlanders have registered more goals in this first period than they have in their first 3 games of the tournament combined. As Cabot finding a way to put it in the net here early in this all-important game against the Vitos. Cormier sends that up the center. Alex Cutler will bobble that over to Whitaker, and he had a chance at the shot, but a stick of a Highlanders defender will get in the way. The rebound came right out front into the slot area and bounces out to Cade Tenard, who tried to skate in on Cormier. And Cormier will knock him off the puck. Whitaker will chase it at the far side blue line. 18 seconds to play in the first period. That's sent in by Macquarie. Macquarie, one of 3 goal scorers here in the first frame for the Cabot Highlanders. Lucas Havercourt opened the scoring for his team. It's sent into the opposite corner, and chopping that down the ice was Sutter McQuaid. 3 seconds left, and the icing is waved off to end the period. So the Cabot Highlanders get goals from Havercourt, Macquarie, and twice from Sam Murray. The response from Maxime McKinnon for the Vitos, as the Cabot Highlanders strike 4 times in the first frame and lead the St. John Vitos 4-1. You're watching the 2026 Maritime Under-16 Hockey Championships here on High Button Sports. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so for second period action. And hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second period. You're watching the 2026 Maritime Under-16 AAA Hockey Championships. After 20 minutes of play, the Cabot Highlanders find the back of the net 4 times to lead the St. John Vitos by a 4-1 score. 2 goals from Sam Murray with singles from James Macquarie and Lucas Havercourt. Maxim McKinnon for the answer to the St. John Vitos, with Cabot looking to lock it down here for the last 40 minutes of the game. If they do in regulation, they are into the gold medal game here in Tyne Valley tomorrow. But the St. John Vitos offense, you really have to account for. They've scored at least 5 goals in each of their first 2 games of the tournament. One of the more high-octane attacks in the tournament here this weekend, led by that dynamic duo of Kason Cooling and Trip Livingston. They're yet to pop off here in this game up against Hugh Burchill and the formidable Highlanders defense. As we get underway here in the new period, shot down the ice, back to fetch that is Matthew Beaton, the defenseman, unable to knock it out, and Alex Cutler walks in to the backhand, and he got away from Beaton, but couldn't corral the puck for a chance in on Burchill. Up around the wall, chasing that is McCaddy, went for the block, but it's going to be passed away. Now walking up top, Davis McQuaid to Sutter McQuaid, the shot going up top, looking for the blocker on Hugh Burchill, and that will be fought off and over the glass and out of play. So the Vitos getting a couple looks here to start off their new period, looking to at least pull this one back within 2 to start off the new period, as the Cooling Livingston line takes the ice. The Vitos have shuffled up the lines here a little bit throughout the weekend, more of a tinker rather than a shuffle, as Cameron Wilson will slot in on the left wing with that line today. Livingston playing on the right wing, as Jones will clear that up and out the center. One-on-one, here comes Sam Murray, now on hat-trick watch for the Cabot Highlanders. He was pursued off to the boards there by Maxim McKinnon, and McKinnon will lay his opponent to the ice, and he'll be carried in the other way by Wilson. Wilson flicks that on net and directly into the glove of Hugh Burchill, who continues his hot start to the tournament. He stopped 57 shots combined in his first 2 games of the tournament, consecutive shutouts to start the tournament for him. And the tournament banquet is tonight, so if he puts up a good showing here for the rest of this game, he might be slotted in as the goaltender of the tournament. But we will see how the rest of this game unfolds, as really and truly we're just getting going here. Start of the second period, far from over in this all-important championship matchup. Centered in front, and Landry tried to airmail that up and out of the zone. That struck Wilson, so that will bobble back over into the corner in the Highlanders zone. Now up the middle, picked up by Wilson, and the feet, trying to knock that over to Livingston. He does. St. John Vitos captain tried to return that to Wilson. He's going to fall down, gets tied up with Andrew Jones. No call on the play. McKinnon fired that up for Wilson, who's going to be laid out there and pinned to the boards by Landry. James Boyle going to maneuver up past both Cooling and Livingston and makes the pass up at center to Jones. Walks in looking for the glove side, and Cooling goes down in behind the play and will draw a penalty. And the St. John Vitos, for the first time in this game, will go to the power play, as a Cabot player will make his way to the box. Looks like James Boyle is the guilty party on that. It's an interference call. So a big first power play of the game. The Cooling Livingston line just played a shift, so it'll be the second unit taking the ice here for St. John. Luke Bellier in to take the draw. He's going to go up against James Macquarie, who wins the face-off in the D-zone. Tie up in the corner, 2 players aside, and Macquarie will join in and send that up and down the ice to the 200 feet. Riva was prepared there in behind his net, but Sutter McQuaid will hustle back. He will quarterback this power play up the ice. Bellier on the close side, gains the blue line. He will hold up there as he ran into Brett Boyd. Over to McQuaid through a crowd, and Burchill pushed his way through as Carson O'Toole was right on top of him on the screen. Another minute 26 to play on the Vitos power play, their first of the game. St. John Vitos power play, the top man advantage in the league this year, 31.9%. As Cormier shot it, and it hit his teammate in front. O'Toole is hurt in front of the net and slow to get up. He will head to the bench. So he looked to have taken a shot off the hand there bad. His glove is off as he's favoring that. We hope that O'Toole is okay after that. As the second unit will start to step on the ice here for St. John, and they'll now get a full change in with another 59 seconds to go on the Vitos power play, just over 3 minutes into the second period. 132 goals scored by the Vitos this season, third amongst all teams in the league. Only the Western Rebels with 141 goals and the Dukes with 144 have found the back of the net more times this season than the Vitos. Whitaker will throw that across. Cooling with a look. Tried to go back and up and out of the way for Maxim McKinnon at the hash marks. Tried to return it to Cooling, but that was well out of his reach. And into the feet of Livingston the other way as William McClellan provides some pressure for the penalty killers. Now Cooling will look up the ice. He opts to curl back and will take it on a slow roll up to the neutral zone. Stops up and now takes off again. Tied for the league lead in scoring with teammate Trip Livingston. Cooling drops back. McKinnon down to Livingston. Has a look at the side of the net. Tried to return it to Cooling on the cross and couldn't get it over as the Highlanders will break that up and kill off the Vitos penalty. 1-for-1 on the penalty kill here for the Cabot Highlanders. Cabot possessing the most successful penalty kill this year in the league, a remarkable 92.8% over the course of the regular season. And so far they are perfect in this hockey game. That's the best power play and the best penalty kill in under 16 Maritime hockey. Go head to head here in Tyne Valley. It's knocked down by Cohen Phillips, fresh off the bench here for Cabot. Havercourt and Wilson contend for it at the far side. Taken away and close. Macquarie banging away and chaos in front of the Vitos net. Still loose. Where is it? It's underneath Riva as it's finally blown dead. And a little bit of frustration will boil over after that as a Cabot Highlander takes a tumble after the play. That was Cameron Wilson down on his knees assisting his goaltender Riva and keeping the puck out of the net. So it'll stay out. 15-20 to go in the period. And a draw coming up in Vitos territory. Tournament being hosted in Tyne Valley this year. Since the rink opened in fall 2021, this is the second regional championship that the community has hosted since the opening of the new rink. The 5-year anniversary of that here this season, after the old one was destroyed by a fire on December 28th, 2019. The community, with some help from fundraising and government support, rebuilt the place as Ahern chased the puck in on net. Last time a regional championship was held here, the 2022 Atlantic Under-18 Female Hockey Championships. It's worth noting that the rink also hosted a few games as part of the 2023 Canada Winter Games hosted by PEI. And one of the notable players taking part in that tournament and playing here at the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center, Gavin McKenna, who's slated to become the first pick in this year's NHL entry draft, playing for Team Yukon in that tournament. With McKenna going on to play for the Medicine Hat Tigers, and this year Penn State down in the NCAA here in his draft year. So already quite a bit of history building up here in this rink. So young into its life. Riva is out of his net to play that for the Vitos. Arbo skating it up through the middle of the ice. Sean Ahern on the dump in, and Birchill goes out to retrieve it. He'll slow it down just enough for Landry. Landry has to contend with 3 St. John Vito forecheckers. He'll get it up to Jameis Beaton, and then he'll hustle that in behind the Vitos net. Arbo will skate it back up the opposite direction into the Highlanders zone. Arbo into the corner against Landry, who went to finish the check. 13.5 left in the period as Whitaker throws it in. Knocked ahead by Davis McQuaid and turned to the corner by Birchill. Cutler will pick that up in behind the net. Hanging off his back is Boyle. Cutler tried to play that up, is now pressured by Tenard. As Boyle spinning back and forth in the corner with a pair of Highlanders cornering him. Sutter McQuaid holds the line to Davis McQuaid, and that's blocked in front by Boyle. Attempting to hold the line there is Grayson Shanks, and he does. Now played for Cutler at the top of the circle. Davis McQuaid from the point, and Hugh Burchill sees it all the way through and will glove it for a save. 12:58 to play here in the second period. Cabot still up 4-1 on High Button Sports. Alexander Dagla to take the draw for St. John inside the Cabot zone. Face-off violation, so a Highlanders player will get tossed. Cohen Phillips will jump in for the face-off. One to McQuaid, who tried to let that go toward the net. Anyway, he got the shot off, but it was blocked by Macquarie in a collision and a penalty as the Highlanders touch up. O'Toole went to the ice. O'Toole had blocked the shot of his own teammate a few minutes ago on the last Vitos power play and was favoring his hand. So it's a good sign that he's back out there and playing. It's Carson O'Toole with the goal already this tournament. He's had a strong start for his team. And for the second time this period, the Vitos will go to the man advantage and will start with their top unit, Trip Livingston, and to take the draw. Go up against William McClellan, and Livingston wins it back to Cooling. Cooling bobbling puck over to McKinnon. It'll be settled down. Returns to Cooling, dropping in low. Livingston in the slot, and blocked by his own teammate. Hit the shin pad of Wilson. Pops back out to Cooling. McKinnon again, take a change in direction. He scores! Cameron Wilson dives in, and on the power play, the Vitos will cut the lead in half. And Wilson will do the flyby while missing his stick. The linesman is holding it right now. Guess he got a little too excited about that one. And an excellent effort by Cameron Wilson, diving in past an outstretched Hugh Burchill to poke it home. So the Vitos with a big second period goal. As the Highlanders tried to change up, the referee's going to send a couple of those players back to the players' bench. And 7.5 minutes into the new frame, the St. John Vitos get a goal. Cameron Wilson finds the back of the net on that man advantage. They get right back to work in a scramble in front of Hugh Burchill's net. And Burchill is laying on his backside to cover that up. As Sean Ahern and Jacob Greeley jamming away at it, almost bringing the deficit within one rather, for the St. John Vitos. And Wilson has had a strong start to the tournament. 2 assists in 2 games. Now registering his first goal of the Maritime Championships for the St. John Vitos, who now have a little bit of momentum here they're running with. McKinnon will walk in, tight angle, and Burchill knocks it down. Rebound, scramble in front of the net, and Burchill finds it through all the chaos as the Vitos are not giving the Highlanders a break in front of their own net. The linesmen get in to break up any post-whistle rowing, as I think a clear game plan has developed here for St. John. Caused havoc in front of Burchill's crease. We know how good the Highlanders goaltender has been so far in this tournament. The Vitos will try and take away the eyes and cause some chaos in front. Greeley lost the draw to the Highlanders, but Cabot keeps up the battle. Greeley into the corner now against a Highlander. Ahern hangs in high, trying to fish that one loose for his team. Play continues to the close side, and it comes back to Cormier at the point. Over D to McKinnon, lets it go through a crowd. Hit the shin pads of Andy Murray, and Ahern pushing his way over to the puck. Ahern continues to battle down low. Talon Pearson banging away in behind the goal as well. Vitos trying to get physical here to get that puck back. They do, and Ahern will play it up to McKinnon. McKinnon trying to spin off his forechecker. Poirier trying to block him. They're still contending for it in front of the Vitos bench. McKinnon walks through and around a Highlanders player, and it comes back to him over on the far side. Maxim McKinnon throws it to the net, change direction, wrap dry now underneath Burchill, and some of the fans think it's in, and so did one of the Vitos players, and the Vitos can't believe it down on the ice as Burchill somehow managed to keep that out. An excellent attempt from Greeley on the wraparound, as the Vitos have found another gear here in the last few minutes in the second period. They will send out the Alexander Dagla line now. Dagla, Bellier, and Carson O'Toole going up against the William McClellan unit from Cabot. It's one back to Landry, and Landry is looking for the lead pass. Sam Murray's going to beat the icing, so Riva comes out of the net to retrieve it. It's going to elude Jones and a tie-up in front of the Highlanders bench, and Landry has to hustle back. And a penalty coming up here, and it might be another one that's going to be assigned to the Cabot Highlanders here, and James Boyle makes his way to the box. An interference call, the assessment. So this could be a turning point in this game here, as the first unit power play, after scoring on their last attempt, a Cameron Wilson goal, will get right back to work here with 11:01 to go here in the second period. And they win the draw clean. Back to Cooling. Cooling walks in, backhand, was looking for a wide open McKinnon. Livingston, Cooling, high off the net. An understated one-timer from Cason Cooling. He packs a lot of punch on that shot as William McClellan will wriggle loose. Centered in front, Jones! Stopped by the goaltender Riva, one of his finest of the hockey game. Whitaker down the ice with Cooling, joined by Livingston. The shot hit the post with the rocket. Oh, so close for Livingston to bring it within one. As it's flicked down into the corner, Cooling giving chase. McKinnon sends it across to Livingston, high in the zone, finds Cooling. A shooting lane he does not have. Cooling looking for McKinnon up high, lets it go along the ice, shoots up into the air off the dash. And Whitaker giving chase as well. McKinnon flung it across. Cooling tried to keep it in. He did not succeed on that one. He will hold off to avoid the intentional offside. And it hit Cooling, who was able to hold the zone. His teammates have touched up, and it hits Livingston. And that shook up the St. John captain, but they'll go in the other way. Wilson turning around. Is trailed by Livingston as well. 45 seconds left to play on the power play. Cooling in front and was looking for the deflection from Whitaker, who was parked in front of Birchill. Whitaker tried to maneuver that back out to Cooling, picked up in behind the goal by Wilson, who was pinned to the wall by Landry. It's a 2-on-2 puck battle. Emerges, Landry swings it around the wall. McKinnon hustles over to hold the line. Livingston hanging out on top of the circle, will spin off his pressure. Livingston walks in, stops it, scores! And a bounce in front, and it's 4-3. Just seconds before, Trip Livingston hit the post. And he will respond there as it appeared to have hit a Cabot Highlander in front. And that's another power play goal for a St. John Vitos team that looks to be on a mission here in the second period. What a game we're experiencing here in Tyne Valley. And the draw is won back by the Vitos. They'll get right back to work. Sutter McQuaid sends that through the air up over the head of Nadasti from the Cabot Highlanders. So 9:10 to go here in the second period. 2 unanswered from the St. John Vitos. And now the Highlanders with numbers the other way. Tenard with Boyd going to the net. Tenard mishandled it as Cormier was sliding back for the Vitos. Beaton holds the line as the forward dropped back. Looked in front for Poirier, got away from him. And Bellier will hustle down in the other direction for St. John, but an icing call committed by the Vitos. So Livingston, the back of the net for his third of the tournament. And we know how much the Vitos captain scores. 39 goals this year, 1 short of the 40-goal milestone. 7 ahead of the next highest scorer in the league, Sam Surratt of the Western Rebels, who had 32 this year for this tournament's host team. And Cutler will head up the ice with it. He's going to knock that up to center in a collision as Davis McQuaid was down on his stomach and had a Highlander trip over him. Cormier rims it up along the wall. It's held by Cabot, and Spencer Poirier will continue the chase on in behind the goal as it got caught up in a player jersey or something. Nonetheless, the play will be blown down and did. 8:18 to play in the second period. And the Vitos close the gap to 1 on High Button Sports. William McClellan couldn't win the draw to the Vitos. And Sean Ahern takes off through center. He's joined to the left side with Pearson. He's going to roll down in the corner. Outlet pass intended for Murray is a little too hot to handle. So the Cabot Highlanders have iced the puck. The draw will come back the other way in the vicinity of Hugh Burchill. The draw will come to his right as the high-octane offense of the Vitos has managed to solve Burchill for the first time this tournament. 2 games prior, nobody has scored on him, as he will play his 3rd game of the tournament in between the pipes for the Cabot Highlanders. Now Murray will send that down low for Andrew Jones. Jones looking for the wrap. Will send it back up top for Andy Murray. The shot, that is off the shin pads of Pearson, as knocked down. Talon Pearson up across the center ice dot, joined by Greeley. Ahern also there. Has gone down low. Greeley and Ahern almost combined for a goal in between the second and the third Vitos goals. They've been playing a strong second period as well. And a battle in front. There's one Vito who falls on top of Hugh Burchill. He'll take a couple of pushes and shoves from the Cabot personnel after that one. Here in the second half of the second period. Lots of action yet to come here on Championship Saturday on High Button Sports. Following this, Kings HC taking on the Eastern Dukes. Kings won't be able to make it into the gold medal game. They began the tournament 0-3, but the Eastern Dukes might, as they're 2-1 heading into their final round-robin matchup. And then later today, the St. John Vitos will play their second game on their Saturday schedule, taking on the Western Rebels to close out round-robin action here at the Maritime Championships. Tie up off the draw. It's underneath O'Toole. Swatting at that was Bellier. It would have been a high stick, but it was touched up by the opponent. Slap back in by Sutter McQuaid, or maybe not. He'll make the short pass to O'Toole. He'll snap that up over the blocker of Burchill and wide. Bellier centering pass and retrieved by Daigle. On the reverse, didn't get it far enough for his teammate, and that'll be sent out to center. Sutter McQuaid sends it right back in, just past Bellier. And now in behind the Highlanders' goal. Cabot scored 4 times in the first period. In their first 3 games of the tournament, they only found the back of the net 3 times. So the offense really exploded here. But now things are uncomfortably close again as far as the team in front is concerned, as a very imposing St. John Vitos team, as they have shown this period, has closed the gap to a single goal. The Highlanders held on to a 1-goal lead for 59 minutes yesterday in that win over the Eastern Dukes, so they're not new to it. But St. John is really putting up a fight here in this second period. So this game is far from over here in Tyne Valley, with 6:24 still to play just in the second period. The gold medal game will go tomorrow at noon here in Tyne Valley. If Cabot wins in regulation, they are in. St. John has 2 games today. If they can pull off wins in both, or either that and get some luck based on the results of other games, they have a very, very good shot of getting into tomorrow's game here too. As this in reality could be a championship game preview, unless the island-based teams, the Western Rebels and the Eastern Dukes, have something to play. As the door was left open there on the Cabot Highlanders bench as the play made its way over. And they're down the other way. Quick chance. Rolled through the crease. How did that not go into the back door for Kason Cooling? And a wide open goal that would have tied the game for the Vitos. But it stays out. Hugh Burchill got across there with Trip Livingston setting up Cooling. He was caught there on the backhand, however, on the far side. And the faceoff will come to the left of Burchill. So Cooling in to take the draw now. The top line out onto the ice for the Vitos. Trip Livingston went in to take the draw, and a quick snap on net. And Livingston was diving in. He already has one in the second period, as the Vitos offense is really bending but not quite breaking the Highlanders defense just yet. And a penalty coming up again to Cabot. And Burchill will make his way to the bench. And pardon me, it's not the Cabot. It's going to be to St. John on that one. An interference in behind the play. And the referee signals to Cameron Wilson, who is arguing that call. An interference or slash. I didn't quite see the signal from the ref. But the power play has been such a story in this game so far. And the Highlanders will go back to the man advantage with 5:21 to play in the second period. Still a one-goal game on High Button Sports. William McClellan out to take the draw. Will lose it to Greeley for the Vitos, and Greeley will battle up along the wall with it and clear the zone. 2 of Cabot's 4 goals today have come on the power play. Lucas Havercourt the first time, James McQuarrie the second time. This will be the first time to go to the man advantage here in the second period. McClellan enters the zone but is rubbed off the puck by McQuaid, and a breakaway look here for Talon Pearson all alone. Scores! Pearson ties the game for the Vitos. A short-handed marker for Talon Pearson. What a way to score your first of the Maritime Championship. As the Vitos come back from 3 down on Hugh Birchill and the Cabot Highlanders to tie the game in the second period. Can you believe it? I'm not sure if I can. But this is turning into another one of the best games of this tournament here, as the Vitos refuse to quit here in the second period and take the fight to the Highlanders, who have called a 30-second timeout. So Talon Pearson gets the bounce and the shorthanded breakaway, and he pulls a Suedo Forsberg move on Birchill and catches the Highlanders goaltender well out of his net. And the Vitos cheering section is fired up here at the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center. Both teams drawing some good crowds out here for this game. The Highlanders as well, with a good traveling contingent making the trip down from northeastern Nova Scotia and the Cape Breton area. As the Cabot power play will continue, but a shorthanded goal will even things up at 4 here in the second period. The Highlanders have another minute and 20 seconds to play on the power play. William McClellan has 1 goal this tournament. We'll send that in low. Landry in on the pinch, leaves it for Jones, and behind him to Murray. Andy Murray down for Landry, looking for McClellan up high. It's an errant pass off his stick and out the center again. Murray steps in, and that's stripped by Trip Livingston. A breakaway of his own. Scores! The captain takes the lead for St. John. "39 goals on the year, 2 in this game, 4 on the tournament, and a massive one, again short-handed. Trip Livingston to give the Vitos the lead for the first time in the hockey game. Flying over his net to get that was Riva, and that time Birchill has faced a pair of short-handed breakaways, with the Vitos scoring on both. Unbelievable effort from St. John this period. They have scored 4 unanswered to go in front here in the second period. And the Highlanders will look for an answer on the power play. Boyd, the shot into the logo of Luca Riva, who makes the save. Has not given up anything here in the second period for St. John after giving up 4 in the first period. And the St. John Vitos on a mission here in Tyne Valley, never saying die. They gave up a 3-goal lead earlier in the tournament, and they come back on one. As Boyd with the shot. Tipped by Macquarie, that's knocked down by Riva. Now going in and picking that up is Sam Murray down low. Murray goes to his forward on the far side wall. Riva jumps up to knock that down, and it is sent down to 200 feet by St. John, and that will do it essentially for the Cabot Highlanders power play. 3:20 to go here in the second period. Trip Livingston, 2 goals in the period, including the go-ahead goal here on the penalty kill for the Vitos to give them the 5-4 lead over Cabot. And a game with potential gold medal game implications, with every goal and every point counting here on Championship Saturday in Tyne Valley. Arbo will head up through center, gains the red line, and then the blue. Retrieved by Whitaker, and the Vitos are in, looking for that far side pass. It's going to miss both Arbo and Cutler. Cutler has to hustle back, and chopped into the zone by Arbo. Burchill will pick that up. And now in behind the net, hustled out by the Highlanders. Cutler pouring on the pressure, down low for Davis. McQuaid, a couple of Highlanders in that battle up along the wall as McQuaid and James Boyle will fight for it. Now Stewart joining into the battle will knock the Vitos Cutler to the ice. Landry hustles in behind the goal, sent up through center. It's off the backside of his teammate Poirier. And now McGuinness will retrieve it. Now Daniel Landry hops in on the rush. Great stick there by Tennyson Godin, who will force the Highlanders to dump it in here. Just over 2 to go here in a very entertaining period. 4 goals, all scored by the Vitos, as Whitaker will head up the ice. Gains the red line, in behind the goal for Hugh Burchill. He'll tee that up for his defenseman Nadasti. D to Boyd, up the wall now, and Phillips is jamming at that. Runs into a roadblock along the half wall, but the Highlanders finally get it out. Shanks setting up his teammate right off the bench. Douglas sends that in low, and Cabot looking for the stretch pass. Macquarie was in behind the defense as Shanks hustled back in time for St. John. Alert stick there from Nadasti, but Macquarie was a step offside for the Cabot Highlanders with 87 seconds left in the second period, as we have another instant classic game on our hands here in Tyne Valley. To James Macquarie, going into the circle against Dagla, and it's won by the Vitos out to Bellier. Bellier throws that on goal, and if the Vitos hang on to win here in regulation, they themselves will leapfrog the Cabot Highlanders in the standings. And there's a lot more to happen here today, as the Western Rebels and the Eastern Dukes still very much in contention for the gold medal game. The Dukes with 5 points and the Rebels with 6 after 3 games of their own. And remember, the Vitos hold a game in hand. They will play the Rebels in the mid-afternoon game here in the round robin at the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center. Played up for Boyd of the Highlanders, thrown in behind the net, as giving chase is Macquarie, who will now head off the ice here for Cabot. Bellier charges down the ice to the backhand, tried to cut through the coverage, through the legs, and Burchill lost an eye on it, and the second attempt from the Vitos almost went in. That would have made it 6-4. Shanks shot from the point, blocked away by Burchill. Now down into the corner, and jamming at that, past O'Toole, who now picked it up and is dumped to the ice by Nadasti. Vicious battle taking place in behind the Highlanders' net. Cabot will finally settle it down as Nadasti will look for his options up the ice. Boyd picks it up, and a potential break. Brett Boyd gained the line, or maybe he didn't legally, as Cabot was changing up. A little bit of miscommunication between him and the forwards, it appeared. So a face-off coming up outside the Vitos zone. After the play and some pushing and shoving here, Landry was tied up. Ran into Case and Cooling, it looked like, and Wilson will also take exception. Only 19 seconds to go here in the second frame. McClellan and Case and Cooling will rim it down into the zone. D to D, back to Cormier. And 10 seconds left. Livingston deflects that in on net for Burchill. He'll leave it for Landry to cap off the second period. A 4-goal second period for the St. John Vitos will put them in front 5-4 after trailing by 3 after 20. Trip Livingston with a pair to lead the charge for the Vitos, who are 20 minutes away from a huge round-robin win here at the 2026 Maritime Under-16 Hockey Championships here in the Tyne Valley PEI. Stick around. We'll be back for the third period in about 10 minutes or so after the flood on High Button Sports. And welcome back to Tyne Valley. You're watching the 2026 Maritime Under-16 AAA Hockey Championships. After 2 periods of play, this has turned into another instant classic here this weekend at the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center. The Cabot Highlanders up 4-1 heading into the second period. The St. John Vitos, against all odds, battle their way back and take the lead over the Highlanders heading into the third frame. Goals in the middle period from Cameron Wilson, Talon Pearson, and 2 from the captain, Trip Livingston, including the goal-ahead goal shorthanded to give his team the lead. And they come right in off the opening draw. 7 seconds into the period, and Hugh Burchill has to come right out of his net to contain that one as we get going here in an all-important third period. And as we know, so many gold medal game slotting possibilities on the line. Remember, there's no semifinals or additional qualifying games beyond the round robin standings. The top 2 round robin teams will be the ones making it into the final tomorrow afternoon here in Tyne Valley, as the Highlanders will bobble that around a little bit in their own zone. It's going to come out to the wall for Shanks. It's going to miss Stort, trying to bring it out in the neutral zone, and Landry will bowl right into the middle of the ice with it. It's going to cough it up, though, to the Vitos, who'll return it in behind Hugh Burchill's net. And Burchill's out to play it, taken away by the Vitos quickly. Davis McQuaid to the far side, and he had Cutler waiting up by the goalpost. And for half a second had an open net. Burchill had to hustle back. In behind the goal for Cohen Phillips. The Highlanders forward is pushed off the puck there by Whitaker, and it's brought back and knocked away by Burchill. In behind the goal and walking out with it is Whitaker. Out there with Kason Cooling. He walks in and tried to make an extra move in on the Cabot forward, who blocked it, but then Landry put it out play for the Highlanders. So the Vitos have an opportunity to go up to 7 points in the standings through 3 games. That would be the most of all teams here through 3 games of this tournament. The final 2 matchups of the round robin coming up later today. The Eastern Dukes and HC Kings. The Dukes contending for a spot of their own in tomorrow's championship final. They will need a win, though, against Kings, who are 0-3 so far. And the St. John Vitos are back in action later today, playing the Western Rebels at 3 o'clock this afternoon. The draw will come down to Luca Riva's net. Face off to his right, and is won the D zone by the Vitos, who will look to shut it down here against the Highlanders, who are now pushing for the tying goal. Cohen Phillips out there in the battle with Havercourt, leads back to the line for Nadasti, lets a shot go, and guided aside by Riva, who saw it all the way through. Riva allowing only 1 goal in a game played in this tournament, coming in that 5-1 win over the Kings yesterday. Riva stopped 28 shots out of 29 against the Sackville-based Nova Scotia champions. It's going to be stopped up by Livingston. Has a pair in this hockey game. Will guide in to Wilson. Throws that toward the goal, and Burchill saw it all the way through as both Cooling and Livingston converged in on the Cabot goaltender. So yeah, what an amazing game it has been. Cabot scored 2 on the power play in the first, went up 4-1. But the Vitos have not shown quit, but now they have to nurse a 1-goal lead here for the next 18 minutes to hang on to this one. And the Highlanders this game have not had trouble finding the back of the net either. The question is, can they find another one? As Landry will grab it in behind his net. It's going to go up top, and Ahern will fling that in the direction of Burchill. He will continue play after catching it. And the Highlanders defense will skate out. Murray sends that up the center, off the tape of Tenard, and way over his goal is Riva, who will fling that in behind the goal in a collision, as there is a Highlanders player down as Tenard hit the boards hard after that one. It's an interference call coming up, and it'll go against the St. John Vitos. And the trainer from the Highlanders will head out, although she too took a tumble on her way out. She looks okay after that one, and she'll check in on the injured Highlander. We hope he's okay, and we'll step aside for just a second while the staff gets that sorted out. Tenard up under his own power, which is a good sign. He is moving gingerly, though, to the bench. We hope he's okay, but his team will go back to the power play here. They have scored twice on the game with the man advantage, but they've also given up 2 shorthanded goals. The one that tied the game and the one that has given the Vitos the lead on their last power play attempt in the second period. So the Highlanders looking to improve on that. They'll win the draw, and Landry has it. From the top of the slot, tries to get that through his pressure. That's knocked out by Greeley. An excellent block from the Vitos penalty killer. It's going to be knocked out to the far blue line, and Andy Murray will go in. Murray will send that through down for Jones. Jones to Havercourt, chasing after that. Throwing the check there was the defenseman Sutter McQuaid. Couldn't clear the zone, though, for the Vitos, although they got close. Talon Pearson, he scored on the shorthanded goal in the last period, the first of 2. Pearson's goal had tied the game before Livingston took the lead, as the St. John Vitos seem to have their penalty kill figured out here in the third period, as they've cleared the puck down the ice again on the Highlanders. 3 Cabot players in behind the net, and a vicious one-on-one battle ensuing, and a tie-up as Cabot will get it back to the line for Landry. Landry will stutter step on Greeley. Throwing down low for Willie McClellan, but a little too hot to handle it. Missed him. That one missed him too. It'll roll back to Landry. Now to McClellan. He's going to play that down in the corner past Jones, and Havercourt below the goal line too. Now Jones will walk out with it to the far side for Murray. Over to Landry. He has a little more room to operate now. Tries the shot, and Greeley closes off the lane again. A superb penalty killing effort here on this opportunity for Jacob Greeley, working wonders at the point for the St. John Vitos. Will throw that down on goal for Burchill, who will kick it aside for Boyd. 18 seconds left to play on the Highlanders power play. Sam Murray skating it in. He's pushed off aside there by Maxim McKinnon. Trip Livingston out there too. And Nadasti manages to hold the line. Crossways for Boyd. The shot toward the net, and he missed the far post. Nadasti going up against Livingston. Plays it down there carefully. We remember what Livingston did on the last Highlanders power play, and it is the St. John captain up out the center with it, with Cooling joining him in close pursuit. Out there, join them on the line. This time it's Davis McQuaid who heads to the net front, and it didn't quite get to him past Burchill. Took a funny bounce out the center. Tenard will take it back in. And Nadasti will shelter up in behind his goal. 15 minutes to go here in the third period. And the St. John Vitos still leading by a single goal. They have scored 4 unanswered. All of those goals coming in the second frame, as they're looking for a big round robin win here in their chase for a gold medal game berth. Both of these teams gunning for a berth. If the Highlanders pull off the regulation win, they will be automatically in. It's a bit more complicated for St. John, as they have another game to play later today against the Rebels, a team that's also gunning for a gold medal game position. That's up top and lost in the feet of James Boyle, and he doesn't find it in time to keep his team on side, so the Highlanders have to backtrack. Livingston steps across, and a blast right on net for Burchill. And he had to be sharp to handle that one, as Livingston really is a threat from anywhere on the ice, as we've seen this season, and might have caught Burchill a little off guard with that shot from distance. 14-16 remaining in the third period. Draw coming up in the Cabot Highlanders zone, and they'll win it. Boyle will relay it up top, looking for that center up through the middle. Skating up is Merrick Stewart. Got over to Poirier, who will collide with Cutler. And the Vitos will head up through the neutral zone with it. Arbeau going in one-on-one. Arbeau and Murray contend for it. Back to the point for Cutler. Cutler holds it at the point. Goes across for Godin. Godin takes a bump there from Beaton, and behind the net for Andy Murray. Andy Murray up off the glass and past the tape of Arbeau off a glove of Murray. He rolls back over to Ahern, but the linesmen say that the puck rolled up and out of the zone. Offside, 13:43 to play in the third. St. John Vitos leading by a single goal on High Button Sports. Draw outside the Highlanders line, and Cabot will win it. Here comes Nadasti on his offhand side. He's been playing that position a lot of this tournament for his team. Out there on a pairing right now with Daniel Landry, a fellow right-handed shot. 2-on-2 battle down in the corner to the left of Luca Riva. And Cameron Wilson will skate out of the pack with it. Wilson scored early in the second period to get the comeback going for the Vitos. He scored the 4-2 goal. Shanks will back off. Eyes Greeley. He'll step into the zone. Greeley blocking a few Daniel Landry shots on that last penalty kill. And he'll take the body from Landry, as that has been a battle to watch here this afternoon. As Sutter McQuaid stepped in, he already has a goal this tournament. He was looking to cushion up the Vitos lead a little bit more. McQuaid held it at the line, but only momentarily, as Havercourt will play it up over center. And McQuaid will go up across the blue line and went in 1-on-3 against the Cabot Highlanders. Has finally shoved off the puck. He'll lay the body on Havercourt down the corner. Cabot looking for that diagonal pass, and McQuaid gets back. Now skating in with a chance is Cameron Wilson, joined by Greeley to his left flank, but a number of Vitos players will change up now, as well as a Highlander or two. That's broken up in the middle by Carson O'Toole, who tried to skate up through center ice. Is going to be knocked down on the ice there. A big hit thrown by Andrew Jones, and James Boyle will throw that down deep into Vitos territory. Rolls around, and Tenard has an opening. Time and space, lets a shot go. Kicked away. Rebound way out to Boyd at the blue line. Lets it go through traffic and chaos in front of the Vitos net now, as a number of Highlanders were jamming away. O'Toole tries to spring himself up. He will run into Boyle at the other end of the ice, and Boyd will collide with the Vitos, and the arm goes up in the air, and I believe the Highlanders will head to the box on this one. A hooking call is the assessment. And it'll be Brett Boyd, the Highlanders captain, that will sit for 2 minutes or less here. And the St. John Vitos, who had 2 power play goals to spark their comeback in the second period, look to extend their lead with 11:48 to go in the third. One of the storylines in this game, the Highlanders with the top-ranked penalty kill, and the Vitos the top-ranked power play. They've been going shot for shot here in Tyne Valley this morning. Trip Livingston in to take the draw for the power play unit. And he will win it back. Wilson secures it, got the cooling, but ran out of space as Andrew Jones, the penalty killer, gunned it for the blue line and took away the passing lane. Kaysen Cooling on the zone entry, crossways through Wilson, a shot, and that was knocked aside as Landry got a piece of that, and he is feeling it after that shot block. He will stay in the play. Cooling crossways for Livingston, the shot down low, kicked away with the right toe of Birchill, and the zone entry, or the zone exit rather, fails for the Highlanders. But on the second attempt, it succeeds, as all 4 penalty killers will change for Cabot, and McKinnon will skate it in. Cooling rolls in down low, but ran out of real estate there and is down the ice. And Riva has to come way out of his net to catch that puck, and he got some good pressure there from the lead forechecker on the Highlanders penalty kill. Macquarie, first man down there, already with a goal today, was looking for a second. What a time to get it that would have been. As Livingston is battled in the corner by Nadasti, and Boyd is in there as well. I should mention, I said Boyd was going to the box. It's actually James Boyle who's sitting in the sin bin for Cabot, who will remain there for the next 50 seconds or so. That's what's remaining on the Vitos power play. Kaysen Cooling curls around, will lead his team's rush up through the middle of the ice. Macquarie broke that up, though, in the neutral zone. And Stewart enters with a shorthanded opportunity potentially for Cabot, but they'll lose it. Maxim McKinnon at the end of a long shift here for St. John. They'll send out their second unit power play here late in the man advantage. Going up the far side with his Bellier, and he is hip checked into the wall by Boyd. Cross in behind the goal line for Nadasti, and Dagla held the line, trying to punch that a little down further, but it'll come up for Sam Murray. Has a pair of goals here so far today and is hit hard by the Vitos defenseman into the wall to win back puck possession. Carson O'Toole up to the red line, tried a toe drag on a Cabot player, and on the second attempt will send it in down low. We're back to 5-on-5 action here. Still a 5-4 lead for the St. John Vitos, although they cannot convert on this latest power play. Poirier takes a tumble at the line. He got tied up by Dagla, and a penalty on the play. Looks like the Vitos will head to the box here, and another power play opportunity coming up for Cabot with 9:27 to go here in the third period, and the Vitos leading by 1 on High Button Sports. Draw coming up to the left rather of Luca Riva on the right side of the ice, with the Highlanders going to the power play for a chance to tie up this game. Jones battling away with Havercourt along the wall. McClellan also jumping in there. 3-on-1 against the penalty killer McKinnon. As it's sent out in front, nobody was there for Cabot, and it's down the ice here for St. John. 2 shorthanded goals for the Vitos today, both on the same power play, and that's what has them in the lead right now. That was the last goal, Tripp Livingston on a late second period goal, shorthanded. As Cabot tries to play it up through center, and Greeley will break it up. Jacob Greeley, one of those players leaving a big impact on the Vitos penalty kill here in this game, especially with a number of significant block shots. Sent down low by McClellan to the far side for Landry. Landry's first on it on the pinch from the Cabot blue line. Now Daniel Landry will pick it up, sends it in down low, centering pass attempt for Cabot. He'll stop up top for Andy Murray. Now Landry lets the shot go off a leg to the back door. McClellan spins around, and Riva shuts the door, loose in the crease, and a scramble, and it's immediately waved off as the Highlanders had thought they tied the game, but the referee had blown the whistle as it came down in front of the goaltender, and it went in. The Cabot players had their arms in the air after that one, but the call will stick, and Riva will take a deep breath there in the St. John Vitos net as he'll roll out to the side. He's going to take a quick lap outside of his net. Another 44 seconds left to go here on the Highlanders power play. By far their best chance of the third period. As a whistle a half a second before, it's the only difference between a tie game and a 5-4 game where we're still at. Now the official is consulting with the goaltender Riva in the crease. He's down on one knee and getting up a bit gingerly. He's going to take a drink of water. As the St. John Vitos goaltender and referee sort it out. Riva, though, is good to go and will continue play to his left. Sam Murray in to take the face-off for the second unit, Cabot Highlanders power play unit. And is immediately off the draw, sent down the length of the ice. Burchill will tee that up for his teammate. Brett Boyd, the Highlanders captain, will start things off. Nadasti will go up across the red line and gain the zone. In a foot race there with Grayson Shanks. The defenseman will wheel all the way around the perimeter. And over onto the tape of Sutter McQuaid. And Nadasti tried to hold the zone, but he cannot. Livingston coming up with speed. Boyd had to be alert here. Very similar to how Livingston sprung himself from the breakaway earlier on. And Livingston is up with Cooling, a 2-on-2 shorthanded chance, but Livingston lost a handle on it. And Tenard will cut through the center ice circle. Going to be broken up by McQuaid and sent up through the zone again, and we are back to 5-on-5, so a huge penalty kill once again for the St. John Vitos. They've killed off a pair here in the third period. Just over 7 to go here in the third period, and the St. John Vitos hanging on to the lead. That's played in down low by Shauna Hearn. Boyd gives chase down along the wall, and Wilson breaks it up. establishes possession down low for the Vitos in the Highlanders zone. Into the feet of Ahern, and it's a tie-up in between a player from each team and behind the play. And the arm from the back official is up in the air, and there's still a Vitos player down on the ice. And Boyd is going to be escorted to the box for the Highlanders, so the Vitos will go to their second power play of the period. 6:52 to play in the third, and a 5-4 lead for St. John on High Button Sports. Face-off coming up to the right of Hugh Burchill. And Dagla will take the face-off for the power play unit. On the clear attempt from Cabot, it'll ride up into the mesh and out of play. Some massive playoff implications here. If the Vitos can hang on in regulation, they'll advance to 7 points. But that won't seal them a spot, as contending teams such as the Western Rebels and Eastern Dukes can still jump them with wins later today. It'll work its way up to Macquarie, who will send it down the ice here for the clear on the penalty kill. It was a head contact on the penalty to Boyd, and it's actually a double minor. So the St. John Vitos will get a 4-minute power play while up by 1 here with time ticking down in the third period. That's going to go past an unsuspecting Burchill in his crease, but rolls wide. Sutter McQuaid in down low, leaves it for Bellier. Bellier on the reverse, over to Cormier, crossways, finds Dagla. Dagla left up for Bellier, back to Dagla. Cormier, top of the slot, lets it go, rebound, scores! Luke Bellier, a huge one on the power play. And St. John will get an important insurance marker with 6 to go in the third. So the power play comes through again for the Vitos, and that time Luke Bellier puts it into the open net off the rebound on Burchill. And with 6 minutes to go, the Vitos will lead by 2, and they will still have another 2 minutes on the power play. So remember, that was a double minor against Brett Boyd. He's still in the box after that one. Now the Cooling Livingston unit out here now for the Vitos, and now a shorthanded break potentially. And he overskated it. Andrew Jones is going down the ice, and the puck bobbled over his tape into the middle of the ice. Walking in, Whitaker let the shot go. Rebound to Wilson, and it's going a hop away and over his stick. That's on the reverse down to Whitaker, pursued by Andy Murray. Whitaker spends off the check, looking for the center out to Wilson. It will roll over the Cooling in behind the goal line, the opposite side of the ice. And McKinnon makes a move around Murray, leaves it off. Livingston the shot, and gobbled up by Hugh Burchill, denying Livingston of the potential hat-trick goal. As the captain from the Vitos has been looking threatening as ever shot-wise for his team here in this one. 5:16 to go in the third, and 1:13 remaining on this power play for St. John. They win the draw back to Livingston. Maxim McKinnon has the goal in this game. Livingston, back door. He was primed there for the one-timer, but didn't get it quite exactly where he wanted it. Center in front to Wilson, and Burchill denies it. Scooping it up for another save for his team. Just at about the 5-minute threshold for his team. A face-off coming up to the left to Burchill. The Eastern Dukes preparing for their next game against HC Kings. Big one especially for the Dukes, as they're still in the running for a gold medal game berth, as it's broken up in front. Cabot tried to clear it, but Livingston held the line. And finally, McClellan will force it out to center. The Dukes at 5 points right now with a 2-1 record. One of those wins came in the shootout over St. John. That means they only get 2 points for that win, not 3. So they will need a win against Kings, and then a little bit of help in the St. John Western game. And if the Vitos hang on to win this one, that'll make things especially tight for the Eastern Dukes, as that'll put the Vitos at 7 and the Rebels at 6 points, and those two teams play each other later on, so one team or the other will be battling for that final spot. It's held in the zone there by the Vitos. The power play about to expire on St. John as Brett Boyd returns to the ice with exactly 4 minutes left to go, and St. John adding 1 on the man advantage with Luc Bellier finding the back of the net. And that'll put them up by 2 here, a crucial insurance marker in the third. And the Cabot Highlanders will look to work some magic to try and bring this game even with their backs now against the wall here in this game, as a loss will all but put them out of gold medal game contention. And a penalty coming up here against the Vitos, and maybe another one in behind the play. It's going to be blown down, although Cabot is carrying it up through center. Arbo goes to the box. And it's an unsportsmanlike conduct signal here from the referee, and he might have done it twice. So we'll see how the penalty shakes out here. And the timeout appears to be coming up. Possibly. Players are meeting at the benches, although it wasn't signaled by the referee. They're trying to force the players back out as they went to talk at the benches, and the referee had enough of that. He'll tell the Highlanders to head down the ice with it. So it's going to be a 4-minute power play for Cabot, as they will find themselves in a tough spot if they lose in regulation. If that was the case, they would hope for a 3-way tie in the second place position. That would be the only way they could qualify if they can't come back here, as Hugh Burchill will head to the bench. The Highlanders pull the goalie down by 2. So it'll be a 6-on-4 power play here for the next 4 minutes and the remainder of regulation pending goals. Murray through the crowd. That's going to bounce off Riva, and it's sent down the length of the ice by the Vitos. It rolls close to the goal. And remember, St. John is at liberty to gun for that open net as they're killing off the penalty here. Havercourt will leave that off for his teammate. McClellan glides into the zone. Macquarie in to help, knocked down in front of the Vitos goal. It's going to roll wide though, and it's rimmed around the far boards for Landry. Daniel Landry holds the line for Cabot. 2:35 to play in the period, and that's blocked in down low on the shot by Jones. Landry crossways for Murray. Down to the corner for McClellan as Havercourt in the slot. He picks it up, the shot. Oh, flashing the leather. Luca Riva, marvelous stop, as that is a potential game saver from the St. John Vitos goaltender, reaching out and taking it away from Havercourt, who had it on a silver platter. There's some rough housing going on after the whistle there. It's broken up by the linesman. But Luca Riva, perhaps his finest save of the hockey game, at the right time for the Vitos. Sam Murray in to take the face-off. He's going to line up against Greeley. And a vicious tie-up after that one. Murray will kick it loose, and it's a foot race the other direction against Greeley for the puck. And the Highlanders manage to keep it in. The one-timer, Tenard looking up high. And it's the hard one off the glass. Maintaining zone possession was the defenseman, thrown in front. Another jam at it in the crease area. It comes loose. There was a pile-up of Highlanders in front of the Vitos net, and St. John manages to clear it down the ice. 2:30 to go on the power play, but only 2 minutes left in regulation time. Still trailed by 2, and the Vitos take it away in the Cabot zone with the open net. There's a broken stick on the play. Fans pleading for a call. They're not going to get it. Brett Boyd down the ice with it. Will dangle through a number of players and got the shot off on Riva, but it was deflected off and wide of the net with 1:33 to play in regulation. So what fiery attempts from the Cabot Highlanders here on this power play. Robbed by Riva, and a couple of net mouth scrambles that didn't quite go in for Cabot. And the St. John Vitos pushing here to keep the puck out of their net a little bit longer to come up with a win that could potentially put them into the final. That's not confirmed. But St. John has another game later today against Western. That could decide whether that fact is true. Kaysen Cooling out to take the D-zone draw, but it's won by Cabot instead. Nadasti goes down low, swinging across from Macquarie, picked out by Cooling. He has a look at the net. Missed from center ice. That would have iced it for the Vitos, but Cabot will take it down the other way. Brett Boyd up across his blue line. Passed off to his left flank. McClellan will glide into the zone. And a shot directed toward the net is bounced wide from a tight angle. Came loose in front of the goal in the feet of Livingston. He's jamming at it to try and get it out. The Gatorade bottle is lying on the ice in behind Luca Riva's net. No icing, remember. Power play still continuing for the Cabot Highlanders as we enter the last 50 seconds of play and time winding down for Cabot. Jamming at it was Cooling, killing down the remainder of the clock. Livingston out there too for the Vitos. Rolled along the wall, now 42 seconds remaining on the clock. Disorientation down in the Highlanders zone. They can't get it down the ice and past the penalty killers. A minute and 8 to go on the penalty to Jake Arbeau, and it's finally picked up with 28 for Sam Murray. One last chance for Cabot. He's going to stop up at the hash marks, throwing in front, and Cooling gets it down. Livingston for the hat trick. Scores! And there's the signal from Livingston. It's over, and indeed it is. The St. John Vitos are going to hang on here in a barn burner against the Cabot Highlanders. Hat-trick Trip Livingston. Goal number 5 of the Maritime Championships. And what a monster game for the St. John Vitos captain to power his team to a win in a massive round-robin game for his team. Now a quick discussion going on here. Center ice, the Vitos just had one extra player out there. They're still killing. So that's technically the Vitos' third shorthanded goal of the game and the second from Livingston alone. Livingston will have the game winner pending a late goal as Landry went for the wraparound. Last attempt here for the Vitos, thrown toward the net. Up top, the shot blocked by Riva. And the St. John Vitos, maybe not yet, will get the win. The team is going to celebrate as the referees are trying to separate the players. But St. John, a massive 7-4 victory over the Cabot Highlanders, and put themselves in a prime position to qualify for the gold medal game tomorrow afternoon here in Tyne Valley. Now that's not confirmed yet. There's still a lot that can happen here in the final 2 round-robin games. But a lot of character from this Vitos team today, coming back from down 4-1 in the second period to pot 7 on the famously defensively stingy Cabot Highlanders to pull off the win and take a huge one here in Tyne Valley as we throw it down to the ice here for Player of the Game presentations.
At this time, please welcome to the ice and making our post-game presentations, representing the tournament committee, Nicole Durrell. First with the Cabot Highlanders, player of the game goes to number 72, Sam Murray. And for the St. John Vitos, player of the game goes to number 6, Maxim
McKinnon taking Player of the Game honors for the victorious team, the Vitos. He had a goal today. Sam Murray had 2 for the Highlanders. As the teams head off the ice here. And what another instant classic here at this year's Maritime Championships. as the St. John Vitos battle back from down 3 and get a massive win here in regulation, mind you, which does make a difference here in the tournament standings to advance up to 7 points here in their tournament. They got one more game later on. They will face the tournament host Western Rebels here in their second of 2 Saturday games. But up next here, join my colleague Mark Rooney. He will take you into the Eastern Dukes against HC Kings in what is a crucial game and potentially a finals qualifier for the Dukes in that one. But thank you for joining us here in this one in Tyne Valley. My name is Luke Diamond. It's a pleasure to help bring you this game here for High Button Sports. So long for now. We'll catch you in the next one from the Maritime Under-16 AAA Hockey Championships.